The situation is also tense in Thailand, where the political crisis continues. Thursday, anti-government protesters started a 3-day march ahead of the scheduled general elections this weekend. They are expected to block voting centers. Using whistles and hand clappers, they marched through the capital, Bangkok. While the opposition Democratic Party has announced a boycott of the election, the protesters are demanding that Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra step down in favor of a People's Council. And as Thailand braces for general elections on Sunday, security is beefed up across the country. Around 10,000 troops are due to secure Bangkok on polling day, and more soldiers are on standby. Earlier on Wednesday, anti-government protesters laid siege to post offices to prevent the delivery of ballots in several southern provinces. CCTV's Tony Cheng has a detailed report.
Heavy defences outside the police club in Bangkok, home to the administrators of the state of emergency. 10,000 extra policemen have been drafted into the capital for the election this weekend. But despite their best preparations, this will be a flawed election, and the final result not known for months, if at all. At this polling station last weekend, voters argued with election officials who shut down the poll because of the threat of protesters. Across Thailand, more than 400,000 voters have already been disenfranchised. And in the southern provinces, candidates haven't been registered in 28 constituencies. Even if the election on Sunday goes ahead unhindered, it won't return enough MPs to form a parliament. And aside from the campaign posters, few parties have been able or dared to campaign. Many of the smaller parties involved in this election say they haven't had a chance to get their message across to voters because of the unexpected and rushed nature of the election campaign. But most also concede the real problem here is whether voters are going to be able to get to the polling stations at all. Chawit Kamomwisit has been running his campaign as an online presence only. He tells me he wants voters to know that with the Democrats gone, he'll take the role of opposition, and that could bring him more than the 4 seats he currently holds. But Mr. Chawit knows there's more at stake this weekend than seats. This election is about basic democratic rights. But the concern is that the majority who are expected to vote for the government will be ignored, and the end could be in sight for parliamentary democracy in Thailand. And some fear the confusion that will come from an incomplete general election and the by-elections that will follow will allow a constitutional coup to occur.
I think what Kusotep and his folks will try to do is to make sure that there will be only one House of appointed senators. And from that on, they will make some sort of deals. The court will dissolve the parties. The Prime Minister cannot act. The appointed senators who controls the Senate would then give the power to the People's Council, and Kusotep would establish his regime.
The protesters themselves have promised they won't disrupt the vote, and the intimidation of voters last weekend may have diminished their support. But they've already succeeded in unseating a government, and the election is unlikely to give the Prime Minister the mandate she needs. Tony Cheng, CCTV, Bangkok.